Good morning. Today is Monday, August 25th, 2025. Today is Rosh Chodesh Ellul, the first day of the Jewish month of Ellul. This is the month of preparation for Rosh Hashanah, then Yom Kippur, then Sukkot. There's a paragraph in Tehillim, Psalms, Psalm 24. We say this as the Shir Shel Yom on Sunday, every Sunday. We also say this, and it is a major prayer on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, both at Mariv in the nighttime and during the Musaf, during the daytime. Su'u sha'arim rashechem u'su'u pischei. Open the tall gates and open the eternal doors. Now that line is an instruction to every one of us. Every one of us is being told, open the gates, open the doors. What's the next line? V'yavo melech hakavod. In order for the God of glory, the King of glory, to enter. Now the King of glory, God, enters on the high holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. However, the doors must be opened for the King to enter. And it requires our effort. It's our effort and our preparation during the month of Ellul to open those doors so that when Rosh Hashanah comes, V'yavo melech hakavod, that the King of glory can enter. The instrument of that preparation, the vehicle that opens those gates for our encounter with God, is the shofar. And the shofar fills two roles. On Rosh Hashanah, there's a mitzvah to hear specific sounds from the shofar. And the purpose of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah is that we are inviting, or rather invoking, God's judgment on Rosh Hashanah. V'yavo melech hakavod. The sovereign, the King of glory, should enter to the gates that we have already opened. And the purpose of the King entering on Rosh Hashanah is badin, for judgment. Rosh Hashanah is a day of judgment. So the shofar, the sound of the shofar, is the coronet that announces the arrival of the King for the purpose of judgment. That's one role of the shofar. But there's a second role of the shofar. And that is, starting today, the first day of Ellul, every morning, we blow the shofar at the end of Shacharis, at the end of the morning service. And this blowing of the shofar, which we start today, has a different function. Because this blowing of the shofar during Ellul is the preparation for Rosh Hashanah. This is what will help us open the gates so that on Rosh Hashanah, God, the Melech, the sovereign, can come badin, for judgment. There's a fascinating insight that is given to us by the Shalah. The Shalah was Rabbi Horowitz. He lived in Tzfat in the 1600s. And he quotes a pasuk from the Navi Amos, the prophet Amos. The prophet Amos says, Aryeh sha'ag. The lion roars. Mi lo yira. Who will not be afraid? When the lion roars, who will not be shaken? The Shalah says that the word Aryeh, the lion, which roars in a more frightening way than perhaps any other creature, the word Aryeh is an acronym for Aleph, Ellul, Resh, Rosh Hashanah, Yud, Yom Kippur, Hey, Hoshana Rabbah, the seventh day of Sukkot, which is also a day of judgment. The roar of the shofar is to awaken us to the power of these days, to the spiritual potential of these days, if we prepare for it. The roar of the shofar in Ellul should awaken us. Su'u sharim rashechem, usu'u pischei olam. Open the eternal gates. Now, during the month of Ellul, in order to achieve that on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, v'yavo melech hakavod, that the king, the sovereign of glory, is able to enter. The roar of the shofar during Ellul should prompt us to start asking ourselves some very important questions, maybe very difficult questions. What do we want to pray for on this Rosh Hashanah? What do we want to get out of these upcoming high holidays this year? How do we want to be different, better, when Simchas Torah arrives? There's an insight I heard from Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach. The Torah begins with the word Bereshis. Bereshis can be read, not literally, but figuratively, as Beis, Bet, Rashis. Rashis means beginning. Bet means two or more. In order to start the Torah, in order to start our path of coming to God, you must know and you must believe that you are capable of two or more beginnings. That we can always begin again. The new year is coming. And yes, of course, we have to deal with what happened last year. But at a certain point, we are able to say, I'm starting over. This is a new year. And this year is going to be different. Last year is past. This is the yesod, the underlying, fundamental idea of the high holiday season, is that there can be a new beginning. And so we have to prepare for that new beginning. What do I want to be? Who do I want to be when Simchas Torah ends? And we can come up with answers. We should come up with answers. And we should come up with a plan of how to make those answers come true. And I promise you, if you spend this month listening to the shofar and paying attention to the roar, the message of the roar of the shofar telling us to prepare by opening the gates, I promise you, when Rosh Hashanah comes and you're sitting in shul, you will not be bored. because you will then be able to appreciate this is the moment of Vayavo HaMelech HaKavod, that the King of glory is entering on this day. And I ask you, please, to consider this as you hear the shofar during Ellul, starting today. Aryeh Sha'ag, Mi Lo Yira. The lion is roaring. Who is not afraid? Who is not moved? My friends, I wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.